All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Talking Tridents. We are here at Mariners Spring Training, going to be here all week long. We're going to bring you our thoughts on this start of spring training this year. Let's get hyped, and yeah, let's get into the video. All right, I'm back from spring training. Yeah, great to spend some time down there for the first few games of spring training, see everyone back. It's great to have baseball back. Yeah, let's get into our early impressions of spring training so far.
Devin, were you able to see Solano? Did he finally make it to camp?
It was reported that Solano was held up due to some visa issues, unfortunately. So I was curious why I did not see him. I was a little disappointed, but
What a
yeah,
big
it's
signing, and
report.
we couldn't see him.
I know. Yeah, it's reported he's at camp now, but no, he did not play, or I didn't see him out on any practice fields or anything, unfortunately. But yeah, it's reported he's back, or he has reported to camp now, which is good to hear. Also, Jorge Polanco, I did not get to see either. You heard he had some surgery in the offseason.
Yeah.
I saw he has taken some BP now on the back practice field, so that's good. Haven't seen him, didn't get to see him in any games or anything, but yeah, he is there too now. So good to hear as well. Hopefully he'll be back in full swing shortly.
That'd be good to get our two major offseason acquisitions going because I know,
Yeah,
for instance, Solano has had a good long streak and a good long history of being able to be productive at the major league level. So hopefully we can get him back in there, get him caught up
yeah,
with the other guys, and make it happen.
yeah, yeah. It's funny or one thing since you mentioned that, it looks like Mariners are wanting to get the guys going early this year,
Yeah,
this spring as compared to last spring. I mean, in the first game, you saw Julio was starting, Rosarena,
I think Robles even let off, right?
Yeah, Robles. They had Cal behind the plate. Um, I mean, the same with the second game. So,
Well, that's one thing
yeah,
we saw last year, and with Dan Wilson now as the manager rather than Service, it's going to be interesting to see how he runs the whole all spring training. He's been through it himself. And it seems like last year we started off extremely slow. We saw the offense near the end of the year really pick up, but it'd be really important if we can get those key guys like Julio, Cal Raleigh, J.P. Crawford really rolling. So when they get to that first game of the regular season, they already feel comfortable in the batter's box.
yeah,
I like what I see. I really hope that this will lead to positive things. So time will tell, but I'm excited. I'm glad they're letting these guys hit the ground running.
yeah, yeah. I agree. It's a good sign seeing them starting games. At least give them a couple innings of work, and then yeah, go from there. But yeah, I agree.
Speaking of getting guys rolling and everything, we saw a recent signing of the Mariners. It's more low level, but I think it's noteworthy. The Mariners signed Rowdy Tellez to a minor league deal. I mean, he's like the forthcoming of Dae Ho Lee, but it's always seemed like we had that big body on the roster at some point, going from Dae Ho to Vogelback to
To
Mike Ford recently
Mike.
as a couple years ago, and then now Tellez. What'd you think of that signing by the M's?
Yeah, well, yeah, like you said, minor league deal with the invitation to camp. I have not seen him report to camp yet. Uh,
I saw some videos of him on Twitter the other day. He is there and he is taking at bats.
oh, okay. Well, that's good. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, am I super hyped about it? No, not really. But is it? It's. I mean, he's gonna get to compete. I mean, first base, catcher, more first base. I'm assuming. But
I think it's noteworthy for a few reasons. One, he's 29 years old. He's He's not some 35-year-old, 38-year-old guy we're signing to play on the major league roster. And he's had some success at the major league level. We've seen him have a home run, or he's a power hitter, right? We've seen
Yeah.
him hit, I want to say it was like 30, was it 35 home runs just a few years ago, back in 2022 with the Brewers. He has a power bat. He came up as a catcher. I think he's now more of just a first baseman DH type. He's not
Yeah.
he's not going to make your team incredibly, like, it's so much better, right? But he's that bat you can go to late in the game potentially, or even just keep him as a depth piece in the minors to give those young guys some experience to talk to. So
Yeah.
I don't hate it. Minor league deal, nothing too noteworthy there, but we've seen him have success. I mean, on the Pirates last year, there was I think from June to August he hit like over 300. So the bat's there, the skills are there. It's just a question of what the Mariners have in mind for him.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it's a good depth. He's a good depth piece, and he's going to get to compete, I think. And if someone else, slumps, or
Hmm.
he's going to get opportunity if he can still produce, and he's going to be a good mentor to some of our young guys. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially
It's
with a season like Mitch Garver had last year, or Mitch Haniger. Maybe we'll see a timeline this year where those two guys are DFA'd at some point, and you need to bring someone up immediately. If Tellez
That's
is
true.
just down in AAA, I mean, he's your guy right then and there. He
Yeah.
covers. He could play catcher. He could play first base, and he maybe take some DH reps to get some rest for other
Yeah.
guys. So don't hate it, don't love it, don't think it's super newsworthy, but definitely worth a cover.
Yeah. It's something. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah. But, yeah.
Like I
Wait,
said
who
earlier,
knows?
you got to have one of those big guys on the roster. You never know when you might just need a
Every
late inning home run.
every year the Mariners have one of them.
Yep,
One of them. So there
might
he
as well
is.
keep it rolling, right?
Yep, exactly. It's a Mariners signing right there.
There it
But
is.
yeah, who knows what's gonna happen with Garver and Haniger, like you said. So yeah, I can see that point of it as well. So yeah, we'll see
What else
what
did
we'll
you
see
see
what happens.
down in spring training? I know there's a lot of practices going on. I'm sure you spent lots of time watching people take some at bats, and
Yeah, I got to see a lot of reps from a lot of guys that I'm excited about, especially some of our younger guys. I have two guys that, especially after seeing them in person this spring, that I'm super excited for, and I would say are my two guys to watch this spring coming into the season. Number one, kind of obvious, a guy everyone's hyped about him, Lazaro Montez, but seeing him take reps in person, dude, he is huge.
The stretch and the pitch, swinging a high fly ball into center field, and deep. Mitchell going back to the 1-8 track to the wall, and this one is gone. Goodbye baseball. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run home run off the batter side and straight away center field. He pumps his fist around second, points out to the Mariners bullpen. Lazaro Montez with a 3-run drive. Holy smokes, and the Mariners now lead.
what is he listed as? Is he 6'4"?
I'd have to pull up his.
I gotcha.
Let me pull him up. Pull him up.
Because I mean,
Even-
Julio's a big guy too, and we talked about that in a recent episode. That a lot
Yeah,
of people are comparing him to young Julio athleticism and ability.
he's even bigger. He looks even bigger than Julio, and he's only 20 years old.
Yeah, so he could even be still growing. But on MLB.com right now, he's listed as 6'3", 210. Let's take a look at what Julio is. Yeah, Julio's listed at 6'3", 228. So, I mean, on the last reported of both of them, Julio is a bigger guy. But from what you saw, do you think he looks bigger than Julio?
Dude, physically, yeah, he looks bigger than Julio. Yeah, they're similarly comparable in physique wise, but dude, compare him to seeing him out there with like Luke Rayleigh. I mean, he's a big dude, and he's only 20 years old.
And Luke Rayleigh's like 6'5", I want to say. He's
Yeah.
one of the bigger guys on our team.
Exactly. Seeing them next to each other, Lazaro Montez has that physique that gets me hyped. And seeing him next to all of our other prospects like Cole Young, all these smaller guys, dude, he
Yeah.
just looks like
He just towered over him.
yeah. And it's like the power. I mean, you can see where the power comes from. And like
Yeah.
it gets you excited and
What, a 60 power on like the scouting one, if not a 70.
Yeah.
I think that's how high the scale goes. I mean,
yeah.
if he can even live up to half his potential, we're gonna have a very special guy in the majors. So
Yeah, he hasn't done much yet in spring. I know the games are just getting started, so we'll see. Hopefully he can do some exciting things soon. But yeah, seeing him out there gets me excited, and I think he's one guy that just physically, it's like he's ready. Another guy that I actually surprised me was Ty Pete. I saw him play some center
Oh yeah,
field. Super athletic, is everywhere. Great defender. Also good hitter. I saw him, yeah, in the couple early games. Yeah, he looked great too. So I think those would be my two guys to watch, and seeing them out there this
I
early
think
spring.
he was one of the guys that just missed the top 100 prospects. I mean, his name came up a lot this
Yeah,
offseason when it came to trade rumors. The Mariners have a
yep,
influx of infield and outfield prospects, and Ty Pete's kind of a little bit of both. I think he came up as a second baseman or a shortstop, and now they're
he
hitting
did.
for in
Yeah,
the outfield.
yeah,
That's gonna be an interesting name to watch. I like that name. That's not one
yeah.
of the names I
I
was
like it
thinking
for
of.
two. Yeah, I like it for two reasons. Good athletic guy for us, for our future, but also could be a trade piece
Hmm.
for the Mariners to use. So
Especially if we're bringing up guys like Cole Young, Montez, and
exactly.
Emerson here soon. I mean, Ty Pete's not going to have a spot. There's going to be
Yeah,
a lot of options there. If you can
yeah.
go trade him, even for like a relief pitcher down the stretch or something like that. I mean,
hmm
he
Because
has value.
he's in that same age range with all those other guys, Young and Emerson and everything. So yeah, I mean, if they come up and they produce and are productive, then yeah, he's not gonna really have a spot. So,
Yeah.
but he could be a good trade piece the Mariners could use. So I like seeing him. I think he's a little bit more under the radar type of guy to kind of keep our eye on.
One of the guys I watched some of the game today, watched some of the highlights afterwards. He's a third baseman and coming up the system right now, Ben Williamson.
First at bat of the day. There goes Ryan to third, swinging a ground ball up the middle. That's going to sneak in for a base hit. Bliss riding third. He's going to score. Ben Williamson with a slow roller, wide open on the left side as the shortstop Perdomo went to his.
Yeah, I
I don't
saw
know if you
him.
saw, but they gave him one of like the best. I think one of the Gold Glove awards for the minor leagues. Like I don't know what they call it or whatever, but he
Yeah,
got one of those last year. He's just a solid defender. They've compared him to young Arenado, very mobile, can get to both sides of the glove pretty easily, as well as throwing across the diamond with speed. So he's one of
yeah.
the guys I'm excited to see.
I like that. I like that pick. He was one guy too that I've read is someone to watch for. He could be potentially ready for MLB
Mhm.
soon compared to some of our other prospects. So
Well, especially we know that Jorge Polanco is going to be slotted in at third base to start the year, and that's not going to
right,
change unless some injury happens or whatever. But I mean,
yeah,
Polanco was signed to a 1 year deal. You never know. Maybe uh, Williamson's like a September call up, get some experience. They move Jorge back to second base for a little bit. Maybe get him some DH reps to save him for the postseason if we're making a postseason run. It'd be really interesting to see because he'll be the third baseman of our future as of right now.
yeah,
He's the guy that's going to come up if Cole Young or Emerson don't go over there. So he's someone I was
right.
watching as well as a pitcher that was talked about a little bit last year, Logan Evans. He's one of our
Hmm.
he was a starting pitcher for a while, and then they slotted him to a relief pitcher for a while last year in the middle of the year, I think around June, because there was
Yeah,
rumors of the Mariners bringing him up. So he's another guy that could very well be an under the radar pick for opening day if the club likes what they see. So those are my
yeah,
two guys I was hoping to see, but I wasn't able to make it down with the SL.
yeah. I like those picks though.
I think he's gonna be a stud. I saw a lot of work with is it Rich Hill? I think's the third base coach, and he's been watching Polanco and Williamson take reps together. So maybe if
Right.
anything, he could learn something from Polanco and maybe expedite his way to the Mariners. So
Yeah.
yeah, so those are definitely some interesting names to keep an eye on. Was there anything else that you noticed different at spring training this year, or anything that caught your eye compared to last?
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up and have this conversation with you actually is the automated ball strike challenges that they're
Oh yeah.
debuting this year in spring training. So we're a few games in now, so we've got to see it in use a little bit, and yeah, I got to see it live. Yep,
Yeah,
I got to
just
see it
go
live
ahead.
for the first time. It is interesting. I mean, it's something that's debated. Yeah, when a batter wants to challenge, tap the helmet, and then yeah, they stop play. They announce it over the stadium. batters challenging the call. And then they go to the automated pitch system, and if the ball's on the strike zone, touching the strike zone, it's ruled a strike. So, or vice versa. If it's not, it's ruled a ball. So, and then they continue play. So it's pretty quick. It does, it doesn't really prolong the game or anything like that, but it's just really interesting to see. I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, so I did a little bit of research because I saw that it was being used, and I know that in the minors have been using it for a while. When I went to Rainier's games recently, like last year and the year before, they were doing it down there. So I've seen it a few times, and I've seen how it can impact a game. I'm not sure what the rules are at the moment, like how many times they can do it or who even can do it, but that'll be interesting to see what happens moving forward. For me, I don't like it. I see why it's beneficial. Especially in a close game. Umpires are human. People make mistakes. That happens, right? But I like the mistakes that baseball can present. We saw like 20 plus years ago when that guy was on the last out for his no hitter, and the guy
Galarraga, on the Tigers.
Yeah, yep. He was called safe at first. Clearly wasn't safe.
Ground ball, right side. Cabrera will cut it off. Galarraga covers. He's out. No, he's safe.
So the review in that regard it works well. But when it comes to balls and strikes, I also like that different umpires have different rules that they follow. So it makes the game more intriguing, and the player has to adapt to that rather than just to the strike zone. So I think it adds more variability just to not have the automated system. But in the world of technology, things are going to change inevitably. So I'm glad they're trying it out in spring training, giving some MLB guys a chance to see it, because I guarantee they're going to ask for their feedback. So,
yeah, like you said, we've seen it in the minors already. So, but it's interesting to see it at the major league level, at least in spring training. I have mixed feelings about it. I would oppose. I'm actually more liking it. So it kind of leaves it up to the batter or the pitcher to kind of either be selfish or, I mean, it's So
if you see a batter out there tapping his helmet on no runners on, 2 outs in the first inning, that's kind of going to be interesting to see how it can impact the game. It does add that extra layer, so I can see how it could be exciting.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be strategic with it, and it looks like coaches or anyone like in the booth, anything that can't make the call. It's got to be on the field. So, yeah, I mean, you got to be strategic with it and either save them for later in the game, or if you want to, use them early, just kind of depends. But I like it because right now it's limited. Well, it looks like only 2 calls, unless you keep getting them right. But it gives you in that crucial moment when, if there is a bad call, you can challenge, potentially get the call overturned without the human error, and then it kind of eliminates that, that dilemma of, bad calls. So I like it for that reason. I also like it because you, batter can challenge and also the pitcher can challenge, so it could go either way. Right, so
one thing that's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds is we saw the pitch clock implemented a few years ago now, and that was supposed to improve the tempo of the game. I wonder if this is almost going to be used as a strategic way to throw a pitcher off again. With the time clock, it gives a sense of urgency as well as very formulated way of how long in between pitches, right? So maybe the pitcher's feeling good, you're already in an 0-2 count. A ball might come across, and it's the third strike. They call it, and you just, hey, you know what? I'm going to get a second chance on this. That might be a good way to throw someone off, slow down the game in some ways, especially if you're in an interesting situation with like runners in scoring position in a high leverage situation. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward what the league decides to do.
Yeah, mess up the pitcher's timing and kind of maybe use it like a field goal in football where you kind of ice the pitcher.
Oh yeah.
Stop the play or stop the clock and redo if the call is overturned. So
because we see players such as I remember a few years ago, Caballero was really good at throwing pitchers off, and he would take time like right before they were going to pitch, or he wouldn't get in the batter's box until he had like the 8 seconds left or whatever it was. So it's going to be interesting to see what these players come up with, especially once it's implemented in the major league level on a regular basis.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they'll get creative with it. So. Yeah.
They always find a way to make it more interesting, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, we have lots of spring training left to go. I'm really excited that you were able to make it down there, get some good film for Talking Trident. We're seeing our guys get a lot of at bats. That's going to be important, especially for those slow starters like Julio and Rosarena last year. So I'm
Yeah.
excited. It's baseball's back, baby. It's in full bloom, and everyone's reported, including
Yes,
Solano
sir.
now. So
Yep.
it's going to be
Everyone.
really exciting.
Yeah. Yep. I know everyone's there. I was. Yeah. As a small, our big signing Solano.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Solano
was.
wasn't there.
I know. I was excited to see him actually, and he wasn't even there. So
Yeah,
kind of sucks, but oh, he's there now, so that's good. I'm just glad he made it.
yeah. No,
Yep.
it's gonna be a fun time, with all the players reporting. Hopefully, this builds some more camaraderie, especially with the newcomers and the young prospects who have been invited, and anyone who's fighting for a spot. So,
Yeah.
um, with that, that's our episode for today. Make sure you let us know down below what prospects you're excited for, what players you've been excited for this year, as well as anything you might have seen in the spring training. Let us know, and let's go live to Devin in spring training.
All right. Thank you for watching this episode of Talking Tridents. That about wraps it up this episode and our week here at spring training. Like, comment down below, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next episode.